Today, I'm going to talk about the Envy Ring in Helluva and how it seems we may have actually visited this ring not just once, but twice in the show. So let's break that all down. Now, the Envy Ring is the 6th ring of Hell, and the only one we haven't adequately explored. But based on the color charts we see in both Hazbin Hotel and Helluva, we've known for a long time now that the sky of the Envy Ring should be a dark purple. This would make the Envy Ring the darkest sky even during the day. As we know in the Lust Ring, their dark blue sky also doesn't get too bright in the day either, giving the sensation that it's always night there. In addition to this, the Envy Ring has long been theorized to be one giant ocean, with little to no land or island mass on the surface. Because of that, there have been a lot of theories on whether or not other demons are able to travel and visit there and what that might look like, but some of this seems to be addressed in the show already. In the episode Ghost Effers, we are introduced to Rolando, an infestor from the Envy Ring, and surrounding him we also get 2 glimpses of what appears to be the Envy Ring itself. In the flashback where Millie first meets Blitz, for instance, the sky outside of the bar first appears to be blue when Blitz first walks in. But we can see upward angles later that show the sky is actually pitch black with some small white stars. Later, we see Blitz and Millie leave the bar with the same artificial blue light being just outside the door, giving the impression that this is an artificial light system that is being overused to compensate for the lack of real light in the Envy Ring. No ring of hell that we've seen so far has this pitch black sky, with the closest probably being the Lust Ring with its dark blue. But even at night, it's not quite as dark as the sky we see here. Originally, the yellow atmosphere in Beelzebub sign made me write this off as a weird gluttony ring bar, but after a closer look, the entire bar is apparently just a boat. It's not just that it's made of wood either, but it also has those round windows on a boat that we can see in the background, a partially fishy populace, and neon signs with fish themes. The bar doesn't even seem to have a real ceiling, and instead it just looks like there's repurposed boat sails being used to keep the rain to a minimum. I'm pretty sure this dark black sky is really just the Envy Ring at night, when it gets so dark that there's no purple color at all that can be seen. And we seem to see the same pitch black sky in another scene in the same episode. The part I'm referring to is when Rolando takes Blitz inside of this sort of psychic space that also appears to be the Envy Ring. Here, we can see a movie theater with coral and seaweed growing, and just like with the bar where Blitz met Millie, we can see a dark sky out the window with some star-looking lights. While this is something of a magical space that exists inside of Rolando and Blitz's mind, it seems to be modeled after a real place in the Envy Ring that Rolando would be familiar with. A place that would feel familiar to Rolando, but where Blitz would feel out of his element. It is still possible that there is land mass in Envy, but with this bar and movie theater, I almost wonder if it's more like the movie Waterworld, which I haven't actually seen for the record, but from what I understand, it's about a world where everything is flooded, so they have to build their structures to float on water. Envy, I imagine, has deep sea places that are mostly only accessible to the native Envians, but in an attempt to allow others to travel there, a system of boats, piers, and floating architecture could have been produced. This would allow any dry land demons from other rings to come to the Envy Ring for a visit, whether for business or just to meet with a friend who is local there, but the Envians would still have to come up to the surface in order to interact with them. The bar and movie theater that we do see give the impression that the facilities aren't all that nice, and it makes sense as there's not a lot of reason you'd want to visit this sort of boat-based community, especially with it being perpetually night there. This seems more like the kind of place demons go to lie low for a while after committing some sort of crime, explaining why Millie is here getting a drink after assassinating someone that Blitz was originally gunning for. She would have come here to try and hide from people like Blitz and the authorities and just have some drinks until everyone moved on from her crime and she could return to Pride or wherever she wanted. The characters in the background seem similarly sketchy, not outright criminals, but people seem to be here to keep to their very small meetings and avoid talking with others or being seen by them. Deeper in the sea, the current theory is that the living situation is much nicer, though we don't know if this is actually true. It can be just as creepy and dark and sad down there, but others want to believe that the homes at the bottom of the sea are going to be beautiful like the communities in the Sloth Ring, with a special use of lights to make an underwater Atlantis. This makes sense as even on the surface where Blitz and Millie were, just outside the bar, we can see that there is heavy use of artificial blue lights, and seeing these underwater would make the scenery quite beautiful. The reason people want to lean into it looking beautiful over ugly is that the Envians give the impression that they think they are better than everyone else and act like they are living something of a nicer lifestyle than them. This is not the impression that you get from the movie theaters, which have coral in the seats that you just know will go straight up your, as well as bars with no roofs and covered in whatever this sea gunk is supposed supposed to be. But with most of what we know about the Envians coming from the deep-sea Karen we met in the Sloth Ring and Rolando in Ghost Effers, they seem to be presented as having an upper-middle-class suburban lifestyle that excludes the other species from their nice places and gives them enough isolation to openly use racist terms against them. I've even seen it suggested in the comments that the Envy Ring city known as Levittown may be based off of the real-life Levittown, an early suburban community that was set up for World War II veterans, but which was well known for being a segregated community that didn't allow black families to move in. But more on Levittown later. One theory I've had for a long time is that the Envy app on Blitz's phone is modeled after TikTok because it's meant to be an app used to showcase the lifestyle of the Envians at the bottom of the sea, where other demons simply can't visit easily. This allows for the citizens of the Envy Ring to have something of a celebrity status as a whole, making them the envy of the other rings of hell. This doesn't have to mean that other demons could never go down to the supposedly nicer communities, however, what with demonic magic and technology. And there are still some theories about how this could pan out in the show. One thing that Vivziepop has said a few times now, for instance, is that she loves the show BoJack Horseman, a show where humans and animals all live together in a society as sapient species. When BoJack Horseman eventually needs to visit an underwater city, we see that the land-walking animals are simply able to put on some scuba gear, including oxygen helmets, and with that, they are able to visit the underwater cities for long periods of time. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel like Hell could perfect this kind of technology a lot faster with their spooky devil magic, and it would be fun to see an episode where Blitz and the gang, or really just any character, puts on a scuba suit and goes to hang out in Envy for the day just to realize it's not all it's cracked up to be. Alternatively, my editor Haro suggested that some towns in Envy may be entirely under domes at the bottom of the ocean, allowing a safe place for the Hellevator to drop off demons with access to Envy communities, but no real access to the seafloor as a whole. This wouldn't be too inconvenient for the Envians, as they have the power to turn ghostly and just go through walls, so they could easily just go out into the ocean anytime they want, and then just return to the dome by going straight through the walls. There wouldn't even have to be a lot of cities like this, but maybe even just one, perhaps one in particular that we know about, known as Levittown. This is the only town we know about in the Envy Ring thanks to the Veroska Band tour shirt that they used to sell at the Shark Robot merchandise store. Considering that Veroska herself is able to perform there, I have to imagine that she is not just wearing some sort of scuba suit, and if it's really underwater, there might be some underwater dome system allowing demons like her to exist comfortably there. Levittown I like to imagine as the capital of Envy, what with Leviathan's name in it, and it would make sense for this to be a city with an underwater dome so that, like many of the bigger cities in Hell, a variety of species can work there and use their different skills to contribute. But what do you think? I was pretty surprised to see these two potential Envy Ring locations pointed out to me in the show, but when you put the scenes side by side, it really makes sense that they were showing us our first glimpses of Envy. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you want more Helluva Boss lore, consider checking out one of our earlier videos. See you guys next time.